Aloha. I am here with the incredible Honolulu City Council member, Brandon Elefante, representing District 8. And it's so good to see you, Council member. This is part of, for me, this is part of coming home and getting down into my district to figure out exactly what's happening on the ground. And Council member Elefante and I are going to wander his district today. We're going to get out of our chairs, we're going to get out of our Facebook Lives, and we're going to do this on the road. So we're looking forward to this. Council member, good to have you with us.
Good morning, Congressman Case. Yes, happy to do this and see the district.
Yeah, so before we cruise on down here and check out Pearl Harbor, which of course is all around your district, and talk about those issues, tell me about your district. Just describe your district, District 8.
So right here where we are, the Neil Blaisdell Park actually was deeded to us from the United States Navy, that the city took over this parkland. And when you're here over the weekends, it's super active, very busy with folks. It's a great place to recreate. And right just down here, just Makai, is the Pearl Harbor Historic Trail.
So your district goes from Aiea to Waipahu, right?
Yep.
It's Aiea, all of the communities, Pearl City, Waimalu. You have Waipio Gentry also. Yep. You have a good chunk of Waipahu. You have, Newtown. You have all of the. I mean, tell me a little bit. Like, what's the district? How many people in the district? What's it like? Yeah. I mean, rich history and.
Yes, you know my district very well. You know the communities, sub-communities. So
well, it's my district too.
Yes.
So, one of the issues here is that we share over 100,000 constituents, because my congressional district, of course, goes from Makapu'u all the way to Mililani and all the way out to Ko'olina. So I've got about six and a half council members and council districts in my district. And so you are my constituent.
Yes.
And so, yes, I do know your district, I hope, but you know your district. And so I just wanted to give the folks a sense of what are we really talking about here as we look around. We're in the center of your district.
Yeah, and I think all of my district is in your congressional district.
Absolutely.
So all of it, entirely.
Every bit of it.
Yes. And, it's a rich history of plantation towns, Aiea and Waipahu, and then it used to be sugar all in this area. And so it's come a long way, a lot of single-family homes, and it's developed over time in the Pearl Ridge area in the 70s, where we've seen high-rise developments, Pearl Ridge Shopping Center, it has a hospital. There's a little bit of everything in the district, and you also have working-class families.
Okay, cool. Well, let's, council member, why don't we go wander down and check out Pearl Harbor and talk as we go? I mean, maybe the first thing to talk about here is our federal government influences your district in a lot of different ways. I mean, almost all of your district borders right up on Pearl Harbor and is intimately involved. So how do you interact with the military?
Yes, I think it's constant communication and collaboration and coordination, Ed, and just how we communicate with them. One particular area is this trail right here, the Pearl Harbor Historic Trail, which the Navy owns, that the city leases from an agreement, joint use agreement. And we look at this as a vision project that we work with our federal partners to ensure that people get active. We've just seen some people working out over here at the park, and I'm assuming that some will make.
They look like they were Navy SEALs or something like that.
Yeah, training for it, right? Yeah. We don't know about that, but this is really an important resource, especially the rich history here. At one time before the war, it was a very beautiful shores to swim in and all, but since then, there's a lot of rich history that is here, and we hope to have place markers, wayfinding, where we can get tourist attractions and also restaurants and whatever it is, coffee shops along the shores, to really memorialize what we see here in this rich history.
This is really amazing when you come down here. A lot of people in Honolulu, they don't, I think, appreciate how close Pearl Harbor is to our communities and part of it. And by the way, speaking of the Navy SEALs, I actually visited them yesterday. They have a base here. It's right over there, on the bottom of the peninsula there. And speaking of swimming in Pearl Harbor, Navy SEALs are tough. They actually every year do a swimming race around Ford Island.
Wow, I would not.
And they had a plaque on their wall in the SEALs headquarters that had the winners of the around Ford Island. So I asked them, how was the swim this year? Because they just did it. Yeah. They said, well, some guy won, and he whipped around. So one of the interesting things about Pearl Harbor that is in your district is This was ringed in the old days by fish ponds, the ancient Hawaiian fish ponds. This was a rich fishery, and some of these fish ponds are being restored, and I think you're part of that effort, right? I think right over here we have one of the fish ponds.
We do, right off of a group point called Local Pa'iao Fish Pond, and you know, thanks in part to Auntie Kihau Lum and Bruce Lum, as well as Kim Moa and the group there that have worked with the Navy to really restore that pond in that area, and it's a beautiful pond.
Well, I've worked with them too, because where I get involved here is making sure that the Navy, who is the custodian of this incredible cultural and historic resource, in the process of using Pearl Harbor for our national defense needs, also respects our traditions and our cultures. Yeah. And the Navy has been very good. So the Navy is actually a partner in restoring that fish pond as well. And so, you know, my role has been to really facilitate that connection between the Navy and the community, and especially the custodians of that fish pond that are redoing it. So.
And you've been very instrumental in that, and thank you so much, Ed, for your work and really opening the door and working with the city, especially not only the fish pond but even the trail. And
well, let's talk about the trail. Let's go hang on the trail. What's its history and how far does it go?
Yeah, so there's active lines under here. That is, gas lines and active lines that goes that the Navy owns. The city has its lease. As you can see, we've done some repainting. There was a recent cleanup here back for Earth Day, and we hope to have more cleanups here. But the really overall goal for this 18-mile trail, we're in this 5-mile section where it's really nice, is to really make it a world-class trail.
18 miles. So where does it go from to?
So we're gonna see the east end by Richardson Field area by Lowe Stadium, and it actually goes as far as Nanakuli. But there's certain landowners along the way. So the state is building Leeward Bikeway 1. Hopefully in the future, Leeward Bikeway 2 goes out to your area in Ko'olina, and then hopefully one day off to Nanakuli.
Does it hook into the railway right away?
It comes around there in that area, and I know we've worked with the old railway folks there in Eva. So that's, they want to make sure that they preserve that as well, and we're very cognizant of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is Navy land.
Correct.
They use it actively for their own purposes, including utilities. For example, as I recall, the water for Pearl Harbor comes from the mountains in your district, up in the Waimalu area, if I'm not mistaken. Comes down here, and comes over here, and then down to Pearl Harbor.
Yep.
So they lease it to the city. The city runs this and maintains it for.
Correct.
So what are the big challenges with the trail right now?
Well, if you're here about 5 years ago, there was a large homeless encampment right here on the shores. So when we worked out the lease agreement with the Navy, we were able to partner and come in to get these people services and clear out this area. The next project we're working on with Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam and the Navy is to see what we can do with these overgrown mangroves here. And then there's some illegal structures down there that we acknowledge that may not be in city boundaries, but is something that is part of the Navy's kuleana to help assist us with. It's a beautiful trail. People want to feel safe, so maybe in the future we can have food trucks, maybe some business owners further down Kamehameha schools could look at restaurants and nice gathering venues, and then maybe bike share where people could go to the Arizona Memorial Visitor Center and just look at these markers, just as we see here, what happened here on December 7, 1941, or where does that look out to? So there's really a lot of neat opportunities.
Yeah. And one of the areas that we've worked with you on is to actually extend the bikeway, as you talked about, out in that direction. So it really truly hooks in with the communities of Eva Beach, Kapolei, so that people actually can transit all the way through. So that's actually one of my community funding requests in appropriations right now. This is the area where you can actually, for the first time in a decade, try to designate funding to specific projects.
And you're on the appropriations committee.
I'm on the appropriations committee.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Well, I try to use it for good purposes. In this case, it's a really good purpose because for me, this is really a treasure, and you've done so much to try to bring it along, and that there's so much more, as you already pointed out, that we can do with it. truly world class.
It is.
But it does need some funding on the Aiea end, and then of course it needs some help on the other end, which we're going to talk about when we go over there.
Yep. Great.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
All right, let's go.
Thank you.
We're walking back from Pearl Harbor now. I'm looking into the the mountains all around us, the ridges.
Yes.
And of course, those are great communities of your district. And it reminds me, have you walked every single one of those ridges personally? And,
I have twice, yeah. And you know what that's like, Ed? Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, you asked me earlier on how I knew your district. I've walked those communities.
Not as steep as some districts in Kaimuki or Waipahu area, but how big is your congressional district? How many constituents?
750,000.
750,000, wow.
Yeah, I have half the state. So, 1.4 million residents plus military. So where did you go to school? From the beginning.
I went to Waipahu Elementary, then I went to Aiea Intermediate, and then Aiea High School, and then off to college on the mainland.
And then when did you? How many years have you been in office now?
This is my 7th year. It goes by quick, as you know.
Are you the senior member on the council?
It's actually Councilmember Fukunaga.
Ah. 7 years.
Yeah.
That's so you're the uncle of the council now.
Yeah, one could say that.
This park, we're coming to the end of your district on the east side of Pearl, and this park here, I've been in this park before. This is kind of a gem of a park. What's
It
the name
is.
of that park?
It's a Aiea-based state recreational park.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's been closed during the COVID-19 pandemic. But yes, it connects right along the shoreline of the trail. If you can see the trail, well, you're not able to see it on camera.
Right. A lot of this land, this is all still Navy land, right?
Yes, I believe this is a state road. Oh, we gotta clean this up here. It is, yeah. So there used to be an access way, a gate that would connect to the Pearl Harbor Trail, but they've closed it since 9/11.
Right.
Because of security issues.
Right, so we'll talk about that a little bit.
I think we can park here and then walk.
Yep. Hey, you're the council member. And I'm the congressman.
Yeah.
I hope they let us.
We're not gonna
park
be here for long.
We'll try to bail each other out.
Yeah. Access into the Arizona Memorial Visitor Center. This is the Admirals Boathouse right here. But since 9/11.
Let's go over and we'll let the camera look at it. So where we are now, we're coming to the part. We're right by Aloha Stadium. We're in the northeast corner of Pearl Harbor. We're at where people call it the Admirals Boathouse. Everybody on Pearl knows what the Admirals Boathouse, and that's what it is. That's where the Admiral keeps his boat, barge, and he can take it and go around Pearl. Well, you tell it. The bike path comes to here, but doesn't connect.
That's correct. So people have to get off onto Kamehameha Highway, which we'll see, and which we've been working with your office to work with the Navy to get a multimodal connection there. Because this is obviously
this is Navy land.
Yeah.
It's Navy land from where the trail ends right now to getting on to basically a better place over there, right? And the Navy, of course, does have concerns about securing Pearl Harbor, especially since 9/11.
And safety, correct.
Yeah. Okay, let's go check it out.
Hawaii Department of Transportation in the city was looking at, flashing beacons, control signals, or elevator area. Looks like this is some new signs that HDOT put in to be aware of this. This has been a safety issue to connect. So because we're not able to connect on the trail, we're looking at an alternative here on this side to look at some Navy lands, and then also another multi-path that connects from the Aloha Stadium station down heading
right.
east.
So So where we are now, I'm looking over here. You can show that is Aloha Stadium.
Yep.
We're at the eastern end of Councilmember Elefante's district. Don't get in. Don't get. And we want the bike path to be able to come from Pearl Harbor, where we just were, all the way along, and connect into the rest of the city.
Correct.
Right here. And between here and there, which is only about, I would say, 400 yards away, that's all Navy land, and there's some
Correct.
sensitivity. So, right when I got elected, actually, you and I talked, and
Correct.
I said, where can I help? And you said,
Right here.
help us with the Navy to figure out a solution to find a way to take care of the Navy's security concerns, but connect the bike path all the way through, so it can go all the way to downtown and the rest of the city. And we've been working on that.
Yes.
And we're actually, well, you can go ahead and talk about progress. You're probably, and you can see that there's a reason for doing that, because right now people have to come off the path on this very narrow sidewalk. They gotta cross this this road right here, which is an on-ramp, and it's pretty busy stuff. So it's an important project for safety purposes and multimodal transportation. Which is a fancy way of saying, hey, do we all have to get in cars to get where we're trying to get
Correct.
to? So tell us about where things stand with the Navy right now.
So right now they're just waiting to hear, to see what the Hawaii Department of Transportation can do before the Navy looks at their lands to see if they can incorporate funding on their property to create some sort of connection. And so it's kind of stalled right now.
Yeah. Okay. So we got to punch through.
We do, and we're still at it. You and I have been big, strong advocates.
Well, I've been happy with the Navy. The Navy didn't say no. They didn't say, oh no, no way. The Navy said, okay, let's see if we can solve your problem.
They've been following up constantly, so we've built a good rapport.
They're very, very good.
Yeah, and thanks to your efforts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Good.
Thanks.
Okay. I don't know if each dot will do anymore. Signs. These are new signs. I mean, they wanted.
Oh, bike crossing. A lot of people forget that Aiea had a sugar mill, and all this land was sugar.
Yes.
And so the communities were around the sugar mill, and they went up into Aiea, and eventually they got up to the top. But back then, if you had a steep hill, you just put that road up the hill, kind of like St. Louis Heights.
Oh man.
You don't have to worry about back and forth grade kind of stuff.
Yeah, you don't. It was different back then.
Well, the families of your district, it's a little bit like the community of Manoa, which is where I represented Manoa in the state legislature for many years, and it was kind of an older, not very populated community. And then after the war, many of the families that came back from the war and came back to Hawaii and kind of built the generations that we have today. They moved to Pearl City.
Yes.
Aiea.
Yes.
And they populated it, and so now you're on to 3-4 generations in many of the families here.
Yeah. Right? And very, very similar to the community that you had in the State House in Manoa.
So, a little bit more about yourself. You said that you went to elementary, intermediate, and high school, all in your district?
Yeah, all public schools, correct. And then I went off to college on the mainland at St. Mary's College.
Where's that?
That's in Northern California, a small liberal arts school. And then
Where in Northern California?
It's actually about 15 minutes east of Cal Berkeley, Berkeley area. So it's sort of a little in on the Oakland side of the Bay Area.
So east of Cal Berkeley, so down into the Central Valley, or still in the mountains?
Still in the mountains, yeah, in the rolling hills, as they call it.
And then you came home.
And I came home.
And then what was your path to politics?
My path to politics was, I was a high school teacher first, and I started to figure out what I wanted to do and got involved. Thought teaching would be it, or higher education. or banking, and I figured out it was none of that. And
You tried all that.
I did, through college and after college, and I recognized that my true calling and passion was public service.
It's really interesting to get off the freeway and just drive Kamehameha Highway.
Yes.
Which actually you can do a long way.
Yeah.
in this island, and you know, there's some pretty interesting things. I walked this route when I walked my district, and in one of my campaigns, I decided that I was going to walk the first Congressional. So I started in Makapu'u, and I walked from Makapu'u to the top of Mililani Mauka and back down through Ewa.
Oh my gosh, that's
Beach,
a lot.
Kapolei, Ko'olina to Kahe Point, which is
It took you 2 years?
It actually took me less than you would expect. It took me about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I mean, I walked a lot.
Yeah. That's a great way to get out and see people, is walking.
Right. So I walked this route, and it was so interesting and educational to really slow down and actually spend time. Now, I know I'm going to blow it in terms of political secrets here, because you know we both have run campaigns. But over here, Leeward Bowl.
Yes.
That's a pretty good place to meet people.
Yeah. Can meet them there. Yeah.
That's a Garen's for any time you want to kind of figure out what's actually happening.
Yeah.
You go in there, you check out the bowling league, and you just kind of engage them in some conversation about whatever issue.
Yeah.
And you can learn pretty fast what people think.
Learn a lot, absolutely. And yeah, the road that we're driving on has come a long way, because it was really bad when rail was under construction here. And when we had freeway construction, it was a massive gridlock. But it's, we've got it widened, and now...
I am getting called by a colleague. I'm actually in the car with one of my city council colleagues, and we're doing this is a good thing for your messaging. You remember like Jay Leno, and they drive around their district with a GoPro camera and talk story and get out and take a look at stuff. That's what we're experimenting with that right now. I'll let you know how it goes. If it's any good, maybe we can share it. It's kind of cool. We're just wandering around talking about this and that, and getting out and talking about projects that we've worked on together. Okay, we'll see you. Aloha.
So here,
anyway, we have driven.
This is the roundabout that we're looking to partner with you folks on.
Okay.
Right here, to get federal funds to reclassify this area, and then Mahoi Street, which is where we just passed by, that's another area as well. So
we're actually in Waipahu now.
Yep.
We were driving along Kamehameha Highway, and we came out of Aiea, Pearl City, Waimalu.
Yep. Through all of it, straight shot.
Drove straight shot. We're at the west end of your district now. In Waipahu, another incredible old historic community. Actually, we're in the newer part of Waipahu right now.
The Renaissance.
The western part. I'm looking straight ahead, and I see the sugar mill smokestack, which is an iconic.
It is.
I guess marker of the edge of your district, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got Aloha Stadium on one end, and Pearl Harbor, and the mountains, and the Waipahu smokestack
area.
That's your district.
Correct. Yep. And we're just about to approach the Philcom Center, which is a catalyst in the community, and then good old Hans Orange Park, where a number of plantation era folks used to play baseball, or plantation era Hans Orange used to gather games.
Right.
And now city, the budget we just passed is $8 million to renovate and basically revitalize that whole area.
Well, I think this park, there's generations and generations that have grown up at that park and are still using it. It's such a historic park. And over here we have the Philcom Center. Are we still in your district?
We are. Mm-hmm.
So talk a little bit about your Phil-Am community in your district.
Yeah, it's a very big community. This is the largest Filipino community center in the U.S., and thanks to a lot of the partners who help get the funding and get involved and really collaborating, getting it. A lot of great events. Obviously, because of COVID, is shut down, but it's really a gathering place for people to come together And
right now it's actually hosting vaccination. Vaccinations.
And they have a new
for the
executive
community.
director there, Kylie Arell. Donnie Wan was the previous director, and Donnie did a phenomenal job and passing on the torch to someone younger, and someone who really has a can-do attitude to hopefully continue on and perpetuate the mission of the PhilComm Center. Now we're just in the old Waipahu area. Good old Rockies is down there. Festival Marketplace, the old Arakawas.
I went into Festival Marketplace the other day.
Oh, you did? I think I saw your post on that.
I did. I went in
talking
there.
to some of the folks there.
I was. That's a great place also to catch up. I think we both know that there's certain places in your community that if you go there and you just engage people in conversation, you'll learn a lot about what people think. We talked about Leeward Bowl.
Yep.
Festival Marketplace is a good one.
Yep.
And of course, you cannot forget Zippy's.
Yes, Zippy's. Classic.
Especially at breakfast time.
Yeah, I know that was a place even the late Senator Inouye would go to, right?
Oh, yeah.
Zippy's.
He would come home and he would tell his staff, let's go to Zippy's and figure out what's happening. That was his way of reconnecting with his community, I guess.
So now this is where Waikele Stream is right here. This is the west end of the district, which is the stream is just, you'll see it on the camera here as we just pass it over my left shoulder. And this is where I neighbor with Councilmember Tolba.
Okay,
so right here, this is the
Councilmember Tolba has this side?
Yeah.
Over here.
Mm-hmm.
And are we still in Waipahu?
We are still in Waipahu. Yep. Correct. So we're just gonna come and wrap around and get to see a little of the west end of the area.
We're just coming up to Waipahu Elementary now.
Mm-hmm.
I was just here actually on Friday. Came to
nice.
kind of just spend time with the community a little bit. Last day of school, had a great talk with the principal.
Yeah, Principal Tominaga, Aaron. Yeah.
Aaron, Principal Aaron. Interestingly, maybe we talk about this a little bit. This community here, where we are right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Principal Aaron was telling me that his school population is, I want to say, 50% compact residents.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning the folks that have come here from Micronesia, Compact and Free Association, and you have a very large community.
Yep.
What are their needs from a state, county, federal perspective?
I haven't really, to be quite honest, haven't dived in so much into that. I just only hear it from the schools, and I know they have many needs. And I know they're very big on community and engaging, and really what they need to see is inspiration within their communities, and on people, and just reaching out and talking with them at their level, whether it's in their language or just encouraging them. But yeah, I don't know too much about that particular population to know enough.
From talking with the State Department of Health and others, one of the biggest challenges with our compact community right now is just educating as to vaccinations.
Yeah.
The incident of COVID infection in the compact community has been the highest.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the highest in the country.
Really?
If you take a look at it, yeah, it's been, and that's a lot of that is just lack of access to basic education about why it's so important.
Yeah.
At Waipahu Elementary, the principal was telling me that they speak something like 10 different languages.
Wow. Yeah.
So Chuukese, Koshrai, Palauan.
Yeah.
Many.
Wow. That's tough to navigate, especially in English is not your first language.
And so we're kind of back to Kamehameha Highway. So one thing I've always kind of wondered is when you have the highway and now the rail that really cuts right through kind of the middle of your district, and to some extent it's a real differentiation, right? Mauka
Yeah.
and Makai. Is it different on the Makai side than the Mauka side? Is there a lot of like you have many residential communities that are on the Makai side as well?
You do, and you have industrial too. There's a lot of industrial in this on the Makai side, and a lot of also on the Makai side you have schools as well and businesses. We also have the Waipahu transfer station, which is basically the Waipahu dump, as people know it, and then we also have soccer fields on the Makai side. Waipiu Point, or Waipiu Peninsula Soccer Park. So there's a lot of mix. Different communities in that sense. I wish we could see some views of Pearl Harbor, from this area, but unfortunately we're just not able to.
Just because it's kind of grown up, or because...
Yeah, it's just kind of blocked, a little from the
Really?
ocean, even though we know that the shoreline's kind of right there. And some of these schools, as probably you've known from your tours, Ed, is that some very largely populated with different diverse cultures,
Right.
student backgrounds.
What's the ethnic makeup of your district? District 8.
It's mostly, we have a lot of Asians who live in District 8, AJA communities, Japanese, Filipinos. We also have mix, with Pacific Islanders, Hawaiians, and all different mixed race, Hapa mixes, Caucasian, working class families, middle class families. And we also have, senior housing in senior areas as well. So
Do you have a lot of the senior housing in our island in your district?
I'm not too sure, but we have a few in Pro City that have senior housing, and then of course you have the plaza in Pro City. So there's a few, and then in Aiea they're gonna build a senior housing that has been championed by people. The person that we know very well, Claire from Aiea Community Association, has been
Right.
really a champion in that area.
Okay, it's nice to meet you.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for all your service.
Oh,
everything you've
I
done.
appreciate you saying that. Yeah.
Hey,
How you doing? Nice to see you.
Yeah.
We're actually doing a show together. I do a show for whatever, and so we're driving around today,
Oh, nice.
and we're seeing different things in the district. So he said we better finish here. So we'll give you some publicity.
Oh, no, thank you.
It looks like you don't need publicity too much, but you're doing pretty darn well, bud. Woohoo! Look at that, man. Which one is this? Does that have umi inside? Yeah, that one. What is that?
It's like a Goldberg sausage, so it's going to be kind of like salami, and on the inside is
Oh, okay. Let's see. I think I'm gonna have one of those and three ume musubi. Good morning, aloha. Tell us what's happening. Who are you? And Tanioka's, man. Councilmember Elefante brought me down here to finish up our talk story. So who are you?
Ted Yamakawa, Assistant General Manager, Tanioka Seafood and Catering. First of all, I want to thank you so much, Congressman, for everything that you do for Hawaii and just the country, especially these tough times and everything. Credit goes to all you. And Elefante as well, too, Congressman Elefante. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for everything, supporting Waipahu. Nothing but praise for you folks.
Well, I really, really appreciate that. We do it with a lot of partnership from the community. Tanioka has been a part of the community for decades. But amazing. We came down here. You're busy. What's happening? Everybody has been in COVID for too long, and they want their local food.
Within the Tanioka family, they're so generous. What they stand for, and we've just been so blessed that we have such faithful and loyal customers. It's what I guess the family really puts into their food and the aloha spirit as well.
Have they been open the whole time throughout the pandemic?
We have, unfortunately, we've had to close a couple of times for some short stretches, just to get through the tough times.
Were they able to access federal assistance?
Yes, thank you again. That's all from you folks. Really
so
helping
PPP,
out. Definitely the PPP that definitely is keeping us afloat and keeping us going through these tough times. So again, without you folks, helping out the community and the people of Hawaii, it's been really, really tough. But thanks for you folks.
Well, thank you so much, and I'm gonna enjoy my alai poke and ume musubi and your great dessert. So thanks so much for hosting us.
You're welcome. Thank you for visiting us. It means a lot, to come down. It's so busy time, just to come down, say hi, check on us. It really means a lot. I know the family is going to be very, very happy and thankful.
Please give them my best.
I sure will.
Okay, mahalo.
Thank you, Congressman.
Aloha.
How's it?
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
You get to engage with constituents and a lot of people too.
That was a great stop at Tanioka's, and I think we both had a lot of fun just kind of talking story with people. It's been a long time since we were able to do that.
Yes.
I actually was doing a little bit of work there because I asked a bunch of people I was talking to what they thought, how they thought the country was going.
Oh, good.
Just, hey,
and
what
were some of the thoughts from some of them?
A lot of concern about the division in the country. That was pretty common. I talked to people that were Democrats and Republicans, and they had strong views on the issues, but actually they all wanted us to work together a little bit better.
Good.
So I had one or two mini debates on a couple of the issues in front of us, and one guy told me he didn't like something that I had done, and so I had a good conversation with him about why, and explained what I had done and why, and I'm not sure he agreed with me, but
it's okay.
He was, let's just put it this way: he smiled when we departed.
Oh, that's a win.
And then one of the most interesting things and gratifying in terms of real world effects is, of course, COVID-19 has been so difficult to so many of our communities here, but especially to our small businesses. Mm-hmm. And Tanioka's is a small business,
right?
Small family-owned business. And so I was just asking them, how did you get through? And they said, well, we made a commitment to try to stay open as much as we could. In the early days, we had to shut for a little while, but when the federal government funding came in, the CARES Act funding, and they were able to access a small business loan, they were able to get that loan.
Wow.
And because they got that loan, they were able to keep their employees on the payroll, and they were able to continue in business, as opposed to just shutting the whole business down.
Right.
And he told me right up, he said, without that care, without that funding, without that assistance, we wouldn't have survived.
Yeah.
And that's a 40-year community institution.
Wow.
So.
And that's just one of many stories, but just to hear it directly.
That's just one of many, and we've had tens of thousands of them here in Hawaii that were able to access the aid. It didn't go perfectly.
Right.
There's whole parts of our community that even to this day haven't been able to really get access to what they really need. But for that particular family, family business,
and made their business keep running.
It got them through. So sometimes people say government doesn't matter. There's an example of how when we do the right things, we actually do matter.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other big issues in your district that we've talked about some of the interaction with the military on the path. We've clearly talked about some of the issues you deal with. Homelessness is an issue in your district, with your infrastructure bills, the roundabout that we need to try to figure out a solution for. What are the other things that you worry about and keep you up at night?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with housing. Housing is a really critical need, and that kind of correlates with homelessness at a local level. And really for that next generation of people, that want to continue to live here, work here, and play here, they need to find good housing stock and things that they can afford. So that's really kind of been the focus, not just for my district, but for the island community, is how do we get more affordable housing? How do we get all types of housing that local residents can afford and purchase and be homeowners? So that kind of keeps me up at night to think about that. You know, what are some new areas or ways? Transit-oriented development is one of them. You know, in the area around rail stations to build housing as we just drive through the district and area. Traffic still remains an issue in this corridor here. It's been actually right here. The community for years was asking for a dedicated left turn, dedicated right turn going up there. And I think we worked with your office on that to see, you know, what was possible, and working with the United States Post Office. But it's just, you know, traffic in this corridor continues to be
Right.
very heavy. Especially
Housing
during rush
is one of
hours.
those issues that keeps me up at night too,
Yeah.
because it's one of the top issues across the board. I have a little bit of a different take on it, because the federal government does assist with affordable housing.
Yeah.
Does provide low-income affordable housing development tax credits. Does provide Section 8 housing vouchers to help people that can't afford to live in.
Yeah.
Find a place to live, to actually find a place to live. And those federal programs are all very imperfect.
Yeah.
The low-income housing credits don't really work very well in such a supercharged market environment where there's no incentive for the market itself to develop low-income housing. If everybody who does have the opportunity wants to go high end, because that's where they can
make the most money.
You need to somehow compensate for that. The Section 8 housing vouchers, they help a lot of people, but the problem is they don't do anything about the cost of housing. They do something about getting people into the high cost of housing. And I think that this is one of these areas where I don't think the federal government can do it all. It's really at the state and county government level. So when you take a look, for example, at development, entitlements, permission, people that do housing have to come to the city and say, I want to develop housing. And so if we can say more, because we do it already, you can develop housing, but hey, some of it really has to be affordable housing.
Right.
To me, that's gotten away from us.
I agree.
And so I always try to find the ways where state, county, and federal government can work together, but each of us has our roles, and if we all maximize our roles, especially on a problem as intractable as high housing costs in Hawaii, we can actually find solutions. But if we don't all maximize our roles, then any one or two of those stools is not going to pull it off by themselves.
Right.
So that would be a great place to we've done a lot of it trying to improve the federal laws, but it's tough to make them work fully.
It is,
in all honesty. So that's a frustration. I haven't found the answers on the federal side of affordable housing, or homelessness for that matter.
Right.
I mean, I suppose if the federal government came along and decided to itself develop affordable housing, or shelters for homelessness, maybe that would be one approach. But it's never really been the role of the federal government to do that.
Right? It's more on the cities and counties in that sense, right? If they get the funding for it.
And we're back to where we started, on the shores of Pearl Harbor.
Yes. What a nice day out in the area.
And we never solved what we're going to call this show. Do you have any more bright ideas?
I don't have the moment. I think it'll come to you and your staff and what you think of.
What were you saying? Drive on the road?
On the road.
On the road?
On the road with Ed.
Well, this is your show too. I mean, on
Ed
the road.
and Brandon.
Okay. Do you want to do you want the both of us, since we perfected this? You want to go?
However you want to do it.
With Councilmember Fukunaga next, or one of your colleagues, and say, hey, and then at the end of the day, maybe we'll have everybody driving around in a minivan doing on the road.
This is really cool. Thank you for the idea, and of course your time, your precious time to do this.
I had fun.
Me too.
And
It was
I
a
learned
great
lot.
idea.
All right.
All right.
And that is a wrap.